Dragonslayers Rescue Mission, Squad Sparkle on the Move. Day 13. Sweetie Belle sat in front of the class, Night Shimmer sleeping in his cradle in the corner as the alarms went off. The bunker shook and the folds started to panic. She started to herd them to the closest safe room after putting the crying Shimmer on her back. They hadn't even passed the first intersection when part of the ceiling came down, cutting her off from her students. She heard the terrified screams as she almost slipped in a puddle of red liquid. Sweetie Belle had no chance to panic. The sounds of gunshots and offensive magic being exchanged let her instincts kick in. She called out to the folds to stay put before running off to find help. Galeheart could not believe her eyes. Hundreds upon hundreds of griffins were darkening the skies. They were accompanied by several dozen Pegasi and hundreds of changelings. She knew that they could not withstand such an attack, yet she would not surrender. Pulling down the visor of her light armor, she lifted off, intending to fight until her last breath. "For Equestria!" she screamed as her hoofs connected with the face of the first treacherous Pegasus. Shining Armor was on guard duty when they attacked. Several squads of Pegasi and Earth ponies stormed the impromptu medical center. Only the guard captain's shield gave the mostly injured ponies inside the caves the time to organize a defense. Yet it became clear after the general had been taken out by falling rocks that they would be overrun pretty soon. Major Mystique, who had just recently woken up, took command of the survivors. Under her guidance, they retreated even deeper into the cave. Their attackers didn't dare to follow them and instead collapsed half of the mountain atop of them with their explosives. Frostmane and her squadmates were taken completely by surprise. They were standing on the Pony&Wolf cemetery, reciting the traditional burial chant when a slayer stepped out of the nearby woods and opened fire. Several members of the Sparkle Wings were blown apart instantly. Princess Luna tried to fight it, but she still wasn't strong enough to do much. Her inability to fly made her an easy target for the giant machine. It simply grabbed the limping alicorn. The princess struggled with everything she had left, but it was not enough. Candy Cane took cover behind the small chapel as two more slayers stepped out of the woods. They started to shoot as soon as they were clear of the trees. The last Candy saw of the love of his life was her standing out in the open, shooting frost spell after frost spell to slow their attackers down. Tears streamed down her face as she screamed for every pony to flee and regroup. A blinding explosion made Frostmane disappear. Two pale blue bloody legs lay at the edge of the crater. A ripped steel pipe in the middle of it was the last thing he saw, before flapping his wings and fleeing towards Canterlot. 5 years later. Sweetie Belle was standing on a plaza, Night Shimmer at her side. The alliance of changelings, griffins, and apple peel's traitors had freed Equestria from the undead plague and the last ponies that were loyal to the princess. Applepeel, the outcast unicorn mare and former member of the Apple family, had been crowned the new ruler of Equestria. Some believed in it, but most knew that she was just a figurehead. In reality, it was the griffins and changelings who were ruling. She had come here today to pay her final respects to Princess Luna. For 5 years they had tried to force the princess to open the gate to the research facility again, but she had not given in this time. That was why, today, she was to be executed. Sweetie Belle cried as the hammer of the executioner crushed the head of the Princess of the Night. Just for a moment there, she had thought that the princess had winked at her just before her skull gave in. Over half of the crowd saluted while their changeling oppressors cheered with delight. Okay, before any pony screams for my head right now, listen to the epilogue is all I can say.